should be in your item bank screen. And I'm going to go ahead and create a bank. And I'm going to click up here where it says plus bank. And then I'm going to get this pop-up menu. Now, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how I name things, and then I'll explain why I name them this way in the next video. So I always start with a number. Since this is my first bank, I'm going to do 001 item bank demo. And I'm going to hit create bank. So you'll see up here that it defaulted to all banks, but this is fine. I see my first one right here. So it says item bank demo. You'll see underneath when it was updated and that there are no questions in here. I can edit the name. So if I don't like the name, I can edit that using the pencil. I can delete it. And here's where I can share it. So if we are collaborating on common assessments, I can share it to the whole institution, or I can search somebody and share it with them and give them different privileges on it. So those are some options over here. Once I click on the actual name, I'll be taken into that item bank. And you can see up here at the top, here's my name. So now I know that I'm in the item bank. Up here are my cookie crumbs. So I know that I'm in this item bank within this category of the navigation, which is item banks. So now to create an actual question, I'm going to click over here where it says new, and I get all kinds of different questions. So I can choose which question I want. I can go in and I can edit that. So I'm going to say, how can you navigate to the item banks in Canvas? And then I can put my answers down here. So I can say through navigation menu. Down here at the bottom, you're going to see this done button. And when I click done, I will now have my first question in my item bank. So we've made our first question, which is great. So let's look at what this looks like in our item banks within a quiz, because there are a couple things I want to point out to you. So if I go into one of our quizzes, and remember I'm looking for that word build, and when I get there, remember we talked about two different ways we could access the item banks with the three dots and right here. There are a couple differences that I want to point out to you. So remember this, if I hit manage items, I'm going to go back to that same screen we were just on. So I can create new item banks. I can add questions into the item banks. If I click right here on this little piggy bank, I can see my item banks. And this is where I'm going to add them to my quiz. We'll talk about that in video number 4. I can click on it and I can see the questions over here, but you'll notice I can't add anything to this bank in this screen. If I want to add something to a bank in a quiz, so if I'm like, oh, I forgot to add a question, I can click right here and I can add a question. I'm adding it to the quiz. So I'm just going to say, what is today? And then you can see down here at the bottom that I have an option where it says item banking. And I can actually add it to a bank from the quiz. So I get this option, and I'm going to say it's in an existing item bank because I've already made the bank, so it's already there. So I'm going to leave that there. If I'm like, oh, I need a new bank, I can create a new bank right here. So I'm going to hit that it is my item bank demo, and I'm going to hit add. So a couple things to know. That question is already in this quiz, but it is now also in the bank. So you can add questions to a bank from a quiz. You just have to do it over here in the actual quiz. Or you can add items to a bank through the Manage Item Banks screen. So there's no right or wrong way to do it. One thing that I want to point out is that if you do it through the second way we talked about, so if I go back into that quiz, if I do it that way, there's something we have to keep in mind that we're going to talk a little bit about when we talk about how we use our item banks in a quiz. So take a couple minutes, go through, add an item bank, name it, add a question, and just make sure you're comfortable with that process. And then in the next video, we are going to talk about why I named the item bank the way that I did, and how you can organize your item banks to help you when you get to this point when you're actually creating your assessment.